In the midst of social distancing and business lockdowns, a freelance writer and a graphic artist bought a bus, converted it into a tiny home on wheels, and moved out of our 4-bedroom house. 1 year later, we downsized to a Chevy Express. Now we travel between Texas and Pennsylvania from April through November while exploring small towns with rich histories. In the winter, we hunker down in Texas in our schoolie and dream of our next big trip.
We're Alan and Teresa.
And we're rolling with our gnomies.
Okay, this house was built in 1890. Unaltered one-story home built for William L. Maury, a native of Washington, D.C., and his wife, a native of Missouri. Mr. Maury was an auditor of I&GN Railroad. Note the shingled frieze around the cornice, bay windows, and the detailing on the porch.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
This home was built for Frank B. Markle, a native of Missouri, and his wife Carrie, a native of Pennsylvania. Mr. Markle was a drummer, or a traveling salesman, who had this home designed by architect Theodore Miller. He did a couple of houses in here. This 2-story brick home was built by a local brick manufacturer and contractor Daniel N. Darling and his wife Sarah Fanny, both natives of Massachusetts. It was soon sold to John Young Gooch, who was a prominent local lawyer and one-time state legislator. An addition was made at the front right about 1899 by Benjamin Garner and his wife Carolina Bonner Garner, both of Alabama. Judge Garner was a longtime Palestine resident who was once an associate justice of the Texas Supreme Court. The home has been in the family since 1892. It was built in 1881.
Nice.
The home was the second Empire Mansion built by Georgian-born merchant, pioneer, and local banker Nathaniel Royster Royal and his wife Ann Richardson, a native of Alabama. Local historians suggest that the house incorporates elements of the Galveston homes Mr. Royal had seen while traveling. The fanciful original paint scheme, red and white, was indeed suggested of a summer resort town.
This house was built in 1893. A Victorian home with Italianate features, built by Addie and Harry Ford. Together they operated a military store downtown.
A millinery.
Oh, a millinery store downtown.
They sold hats.
Note the impressive main gable and smaller shingled gables.
Yeah, it's so pretty.
Yeah, it's a really pretty house.
That's 805. This spectacular frame home was built for George Edward Dilley, an Illinois-born business magnate and social leader. The Dilley family ran railroad brass and iron foundries in Palestine, San Antonio, Arkansas, and Kansas, supplying the development of Jay Gould's railroad empire. The home was enlarged in 1895 by plans by Theodore Miller. It features a billiard room in the basement, a finished attic, and elaborate mahogany trimmings said to be assembled by craftsmen from the Pullman Company. The house had one of the first private telephones in Palestine. Note the roof cresting and imported stained glass windows and iron fences with granite gate posts. I don't see them, but
This gorgeous home was built in 1890. It was built for Louis and Mary Durr, both natives of Germany. Mr. Durr was a local bookstore owner. Two-story frame home has an exciting array of architectural features. Front entry details above the porch, brackets and spandrels at cornice, and excellent hip deck cresting. A roof tower once adorned the facade.
It is absolutely gorgeous, even without the roof tower. Okay. This Queen Anne two-story house was built for a local cotton broker, Samuel Lucas, a native of New Orleans, and his wife Esther Goldberg Lucas, a native Texan. The architect was John S. Mode, who was born in Georgia and responsible for much quality work throughout Texas, notably in Dallas and Palestine. Later, the home was bought by Martin Anthony Davey, a Galveston native whose private exploration and development led him to be hailed as the father of East Texas oil industry. After his gift of land to the county, Davy Dogwood Park was named after him. The house features eclectic elements, translucent glass, original lighting fixtures, and original paint scheme. And it is absolutely gorgeous. I know this camera is not doing it justice.
It's eclectic, by the way.
Whatever. Originally a one-story cottage, the house was probably built in 1874 by Newton B. Barnes, who built the first brick building in downtown. The house was enlarged by railroad bookkeeper George Angle and his wife Adelina. The local newspaper in 1883 called the house ivy wreathed and almost smothered in roses and honeysuckles, and one of the prettiest places on the hill. The second story was added in 1892 by Alexander White Gregg and Mary Brooks Gregg. Mr. Gregg was a lawyer who served in the U.S. Congress from 1903 through 1919 and was responsible for federal funding of the Galveston seawall.
Which we've been to.
Yeah, we like the Galveston seawall.
Interesting. Booter's Mansion? What's it called?
Bowers?
Oh, the Bowers Mansion.
Superb Italianate villa built for Prussian-born merchant Henry Ashe and his wife Amelia Emily Ashe, who was a native of Mississippi. The house features the first cupola built in Palestine.
Cool.
The local newspaper in 1883 called the house the most artistically planned of any place in the city. The house itself is such an airy, graceful structure that it is a perpetual delight to the eye, and the surroundings are all harmonious and beautiful. It was bought in 1886 by Anthony Bowers and his Italian-born wife, Nellie O'Connell Bowers. Remodeled by the Bowers twice, Eastlake double galleries were added by a local cabinet maker, and a spectacular stair with stained glass to plans by St. Louis architect Charles Dunbar. North was the first president and owner of Palestine Salt and Coal Company.
Nice. That's a beautiful home.
Alright, if I don't do this right, then I'm going to be on the bad side of my wife. So y'all bear with me and pray for me. But while you're doing that, don't forget, share us with your friends, like us if you like us if you don't, subscribe to the channel, it helps us out. God bless.
This two-story home was built by Benjamin F. Ackerman, a native of Milan, Texas, and his wife Hattie Thomason Ackerman, a native of Willis, Texas. Mr. Ackerman served the INGN for 45 years, working as a foreman, road foreman, and engineer. Both Mr. and Mrs. Ackerman were active volunteers at the local Red Cross during World War I. And Mr. Ackerman was noted for leaving a steaming locomotive at the canteen near the depot so that thousands of soldiers passing through Palestine could have unlimited hot water for their coffee. Contractor for the house was John Gott, who built the structure for $2,800 in 1904.
Love that sign in the window. Hippies use side door.
Your money will not go nearly so far.
Yeah, that's awesome.
In today's world.